Welcome to the Healthy Living Revolution Live. My name is Jamie Kinsey, and I am a National Marketing Director with the Juice Plus Company. The Healthy Living Revolution is a movement of people who are taking healthy back, and we're offering this series to provide some simple solutions and simple education. This episode, we are featuring Heather Wanke. Heather is a registered dietitian and a licensed nutritionist with a certification in adult weight management. Heather received her Bachelor of Arts degree from West Virginia University and a Master's of Science in Nutrition from Middle Tennessee State University. Heather is passionate about educating others regarding the integral role whole food nutrition plays in disease prevention and in achieving overall health. This passion has led her to become a Dr. Sears certified health coach, which enables her to provide a variety of programs that lead expecting moms and families to optimal health. Heather has worked with people from all walks of life and has seen countless disorders and health issues disappear when modern refined foods were replaced with whole foods. Heather is a highly sought-after speaker and has delivered numerous presentations in various states. Her humor, infectious energy, and high-content presentations provide the blueprint for empowering audiences in their health journey. We are so excited to have you joining us, Heather.
Well, thank you, Jamie, for that awesome introduction, and I'm excited to be a part of this Healthy Living Revolution Live. So thank you for everybody who's joining us today. So as Jamie mentioned, I am a registered dietitian with 7 years experience in the bariatric field, where we help countless people fight obesity and take their health back. So the prevalence of obesity has continued to increase over the last several decades. The number of adults affected by obesity has doubled since the 1970s, and the number of children affected has more than tripled. Today, more than 70% of adults and 20% of children struggle with being overweight or are affected by obesity. Obesity was once considered a risk factor for other chronic diseases such as cardiovascular disease, hypertension, or type 2 diabetes. However, in 2013, the American Medical Association recognized obesity itself as a chronic disease, moving it out of the lifestyle world and into the medical world, which explains why more and more people are turning toward medical solutions like bariatric surgery to help them lose the weight and improve their overall health. So bariatric surgery is an umbrella term used for any surgical procedure on the stomach and or intestines to induce weight loss. It's also commonly known as weight loss surgery. And there's 3 main types of bariatric surgery: restrictive, malabsorptive, or a combination of the 2. And today I'm just going to talk about the 2 most popular bariatric surgeries, the gastric sleeve and the Roux-en-Y gastric bypass. So the gastric sleeve oftentimes is referred to as a newer surgery, but it's technically not that new. Historically, it was the first step and a 2-step surgical procedure used in the treatment of extreme obesity. But it was discovered that enough weight loss occurred with this surgery alone that oftentimes the second surgery was no longer needed. Well, today, the gastric sleeve is a standalone surgery and a viable treatment for obesity. In fact, it has become the most popular bariatric surgery, not only in the United States, but worldwide. And during the gastric sleeve, about 75 to 80% of the stomach is removed. So just to put this in perspective, that means that we are taking something the size of a football and turning it into the size of a banana. And because other anatomical structures are left untouched, digestion of food and nutrients remains normal, making this purely a restrictive surgery. And the sleeve works to induce weight loss by a couple mechanisms. The newly created stomach holds considerably less volume. Therefore, patients eat less calories and food at one setting. But it also has an impact on gut hormones, specifically ghrelin, which is known as the hunger hormone. The part of the stomach called the fundus, which produces the majority of this ghrelin hormone, is physically removed during surgery, which decreases appetite, which further helps patients to decrease their calorie intake. The second surgery, the Roux-en-Y gastric bypass, is now the second most common surgery, but it's still considered to be the gold standard of bariatric surgery. So in this procedure, a new surgical stomach, also called the gastric pouch, is created by dividing the top half of the stomach from the second half of the stomach. And as you can see in this picture, the new pouch is about the size of an egg. That is the restrictive part. Then the pouch is disconnected from the first part of the small intestines called the duodenum and reconnected further down into the small intestines to the second half, which is called the jejunum. Once in place, food passes from the pouch directly into the jejunum, literally bypassing the remnant stomach, all of the duodenum, and a small section of the jejunum. And because a part of the small intestines is bypassed, patients don't absorb all of the calories or nutrients from the food they consume. This is the malabsorptive part. This is also the part that makes patients more susceptible to nutritional deficiencies, specifically iron, calcium, vitamin D, and B12. And in general, bypass affects weight loss in several different ways, but most of the mechanisms are not yet fully understood. It seems to be a much more complex process than just restriction and malabsorption. But it has tremendous impact on hormonal pathways that regulate appetite, satiety, and insulin production. In fact, many patients who have type 2 diabetes have instant resolution of their condition while still in their recovery room. So in general, weight loss with the bypass happens pretty quickly. Most patients tend to lose about 50 to 60% of their excess weight within the first 6 months to 1 year of their surgery. Then weight loss tends to slow down a little bit and then eventually plateaus. Weight loss happens a little more slowly with the sleeve, but it remains constant for about 2 years and eventually mirrors bypass results at about the 3 to 5 year mark. So this 2-year window after surgery, where the surgery is doing most of the work for you, is often referred to as the honeymoon phase. And it's during this phase that we really educate patients to start making the appropriate dietary and lifestyle changes that will be needed for long-term success. There's a common misconception that because the stomach holds so little food that you can eat whatever you want in just smaller portions. But that couldn't be further from the truth. In fact, it's the exact opposite. It's because that the quantity of the food is so restricted that the quality of the food becomes really important, because not all calories are created equal and different foods provide different levels of restriction. So oftentimes we equate the gastric pouch or the surgical stomach to that of a funnel. You can pour anything into the funnel, but the transit time depends on the consistency of the food. So obviously, liquids are going to pass through the funnel or the pouch faster than solid foods. But as a general rule of thumb, we tell patients that simple carbohydrates pass through the fastest, followed by protein, fat, and then fibrous foods. And although I'm oversimplifying a complex process, this analogy really helps patients understand what they should eat and why. So let's take a look at the funnel on the right. It's full of some simple carbohydrate foods. Foods like chips, crackers, pretzels, or cookies. We often refer to these foods as slider foods because they slide right through the pouch. So imagine for a moment putting a chip or a cracker inside of your mouth and not chewing it, just letting it rest on your tongue. Can you kind of imagine that in a matter of minutes it would turn into a mushy consistency? Well, mushy consistencies slide right through the pouch. And that is because simple carbohydrates begin to be digested in the mouth as soon as they enter the mouth by enzymes inside of your saliva. So by the time they hit the stomach, they're primarily digested and they slide right on through the pouch, leaving no restriction, which can quickly turn to increased portions, increased calories, which can lead to slowed weight loss or even weight gain. So now on the contrary, let's look at the funnel on the left. It's full of lean meats and vegetables. So if you use the same analogy, if you can imagine taking a bite of chicken or broccoli and holding that in your mouth and not chewing it, what would happen? Nothing, right? It's kind of gross to think about, but those foods could stay in your mouth for hours and never change the consistency. That is because the enzymes inside your saliva cannot break down those foods. So you have to physically chew those foods before you can swallow them. And the first time that they can be chemically digested is the stomach. So they don't slide through, they stay in the stomach, and they provide restriction, which is the whole intent of surgery. So sometimes after surgery, patients will eat the right foods and complain of a little bit of pain or discomfort. Maybe they ate too quickly or didn't chew well enough, but it's important for them to know that the right foods cause more pressure. But that can be tempting for them to really revert back to eating slider foods, because when you do consume them, there is no pain or discomfort. So it's really important for them to know what is happening and why it's happening so they can make the proper adjustment and stay on track. The funnel analogy is another reason we encourage patients not to drink with their meals, because fluids change the consistency of food and can increase gastric emptying, especially after the gastric bypass. So typically we tell patients to stop drinking fluids about 30 minutes prior to a meal or a snack, no fluids with a meal, and then wait about 15 to 30 minutes after a meal to start your fluid consumption. So there are a lot of different rules. That's just one of them that patients have to follow, and there's a lot of changes that they have to make, and that can be pretty overwhelming to a lot of people. So we try to take our rules and really simplify them. So we started to develop something called the power of the P's. And this will make sense in a moment. But oftentimes, if you read bariatric literature or get on some bariatric sites, you read a lot about the power of protein and the recommendation of eating protein first before you consume anything else. But in our practice, we began to realize that if patients ate protein, there really wasn't room for anything else. And you can't just live on protein alone. So we tweaked those guidelines a little bit and really encourage our patients to eat what we call the 2 Ps, protein and produce, in a 2-to-1 ratio. So for every 2 bites of protein, we want a bite of produce. And please don't misunderstand me. Adequate protein intake after bariatric surgery is a very important part of the nutritional program. It's just not the only part. And protein is so important because it is used in almost every biological process in the body. It is used to make enzymes, hormones, immunoproteins. Our hair, our skin, our nails are all built upon protein. It also helps to minimize the reduction of fat-free mass. So that helps to maintain a healthy weight. And it also helps with that satiety. It helps keep patients full. But produce is equally as important. And that is because plants contain thousands of phytonutrients. So phyto is just Greek for plant, and nutrient is a beneficial substance found in food. So if you combine those 2 words, phytonutrients are simply beneficial substances only found in plants. And a single serving of fruits or vegetables contains over 10,000 of these phytonutrients that are vital to human health. Plants also contain vitamins, minerals, enzymes, and antioxidants. They're low calorie, high in nutrients, and loaded in fiber, which, remember, go back to that funnel analogy, is really filling. The 1 P we try not to use in our program and practice is perfection. Yes, we encourage our patients to eat primarily protein and produce, but we also understand that there's no such thing as perfect eating all the time, every time. But when your stomach is the size of a banana or an egg, it can be extremely difficult to get in the nutrition that the body needs on a daily basis. which is why a lot of programs have turned to recommending powders and pills. The most widely available protein powder on the market today is whey protein, which is derived from dairy. It used to be the throwaway product in the cheese making process, but today it's marketed to consumers as a health food. But it is extremely processed. Most whey protein powders undergo almost 14 different refining processes before they're even consumable. And that makes them extremely low in fiber, vitamins, and minerals, and high in artificial ingredients like colors and flavorings and sweeteners. A lot of the ingredients that we educate our patients to stay away from. In a recent article released by Consumer Reports, most of the most commonly purchased whey proteins were found to be contaminated in heavy metals. And unfortunately, most multivitamins are no better. They too are full of artificial ingredients and chemicals. In fact, the vitamin itself in most vitamins is a chemical copycat made by a chemist in a lab to really mimic the way that a natural vitamin found in plants works inside of the body. And most traditional multivitamins also have a food-grade shellac coating, which might make them easier to swallow, but it makes them very hard to digest, especially with a smaller stomach. And many of them are poorly absorbed by the body because they're missing cofactors, which is why oftentimes when you take a vitamin, you have bright yellow urine that smells like a vitamin. So in our practice, we just started to search for a more natural way for our patients to get in the vitamins and minerals and nutrition that they needed, but we didn't want them to have all the artificial ingredients. And that is why we landed on Juice Plus. So Juice Plus is so unique because it doesn't contain the synthetic vitamins. It actually contains the vitamins and minerals and antioxidants and phytonutrients from the fruits, vegetables, and berries themselves. And I absolutely love the whole food shake mix because it contains a lot of the nutrition that our patients need more of. Specifically, it has 13 grams of highly absorbable plant protein, 8 grams of fiber, and it also contains vitamin D from mushrooms, iron, calcium, and B12. And they're also free of the common allergens, which are dairy and gluten. Something that was really important to us was that it was certified by a company called NSF. And this certification just guarantees the purity of the product. Every batch of Juice Plus is guaranteed to be free of herbicides, fungicides, bacteria, mold, pretty much any contaminant known to man, including those heavy metals. And obviously, being a medical practice, we love that it was backed by clinical research, which I'll talk about in just a minute. So we love using the powdered produce inside of Juice Plus in our practice because it has been shown time and time again that when patients have better nutritional status before surgery, they do better during and after surgery. So we like to start our patients on the Juice Plus regimen about 60 to 90 days before surgery. That helps to ensure that they have adequate protein, vitamin, and mineral status, which can decrease the risk of infection and improve healing and recovery time. So most patients start their journey with us about 3 to 6 months prior to surgery. And that is when we really focus on the 2 Ps, helping them to consume lean protein, lots of produce in the form of vegetables and fruit, and some complex carbohydrates. Most bariatric programs and insurance companies have mandated that patients lose about 10% of their starting weight. The primary reason of this is really to prepare the liver for surgery. So when patients can make the appropriate dietary changes, we can reduce the size of the liver, decrease the intra-abdominal fat, which improves the visual field for the surgeon and makes the surgery easy. So just like a runner wouldn't show up on race day, right, without training, we like to start training our patients ahead of time to start shredding the food and habits that aren't serving them. So after surgery, patients are on a modified diet for quite some time. They start off with clear liquids in the hospital and transition into full liquids, pureed foods, soft foods, and then onto a normal bariatric diet at about the 5-week mark. And this is where I love to use the Juice Plus products because, I mean, let's face it, there's not a whole lot of nutrition in Jell-O pudding and popsicles. And our patients could very easily open those capsules and start sprinkling the powdered produce into their foods and fluids. And this helped them to get amazing nutrition early on. And good nutrition is absolutely necessary for good healing. And that is something we saw in our practice regularly. Really fast healing and awesome recovery. And so long term, I love that Juice Plus continually bridges the nutritional gap for our patients. I mean, let's just be real. There are days that we have a gap, and there's days that we have a canyon. We are supposed to be eating 9 to 13 servings of raw fruits and vegetables every single day. And I don't know about you, but that is definitely a struggle for me. And when our patients' stomachs can only hold a few ounces of food at a time, it can be extremely difficult for them. So I love that Juice Plus can provide foundational nutrition for our patients for the rest of their lives. Not only for our patients, but really for everyone. In this recent survey by the CDC, it was found that only 1 in 10 adults were eating the recommended servings of fruits and vegetables. And we know that a diet rich in fruits and vegetables can not only prevent obesity, but several other chronic diseases too. And we just don't want our patients to be thinner. We want them to be healthy and well. So I am eternally grateful that I work for a doctor who gets it. He was willing to break the traditional mold of recommending powders and pills and really go with a think different approach to nutrition. He really understood, as he says in his quotes, that although our patients were overfed, they were profoundly malnourished. And we will continue to use Juice Plus in our practice because of the results we see preoperatively and postoperatively. And why can we be so confident in recommending Juice Plus in our clinic? And that is because it's proven. There are over 38 published research studies in medical journals from all over the world. And many of these studies are directly correlated to the population we serve. So there's a strong link between cardiovascular disease and obesity. I love that Juice Plus has been proven to reduce systemic inflammation because every disease process has an inflammatory component, and many of our patients have several comorbidities. It supports the immune system and reduces oxidative stress. Well, any surgery, no matter how big or small, puts a lot of stress inside of the body, which suppresses the immune system. And I obviously love that it's been shown to improve insulin resistance and reduce abdominal fat mass. And a segment of the research that I love that's not shown on this slide is that Juice Plus has been proven time and time again to be bioavailable. What does that mean? That means what is in the bottle actually gets into the bloodstream. And I just feel that it's really important for not only our patients, but for people to know that what they're taking and spending money on is absorbed in the body. So I just want to encourage everybody to do their due diligence, and whatever product you are taking, let's make sure there's some independent research out there proving that it gets absorbed into your bloodstream. And my final P, I don't have a slide for because it's the people. So, it's great to learn all of this information, but what is even better is to hear from real people who've experienced real results using the Juice Plus products as a tool in their healthy living toolbox after bariatric surgery. So thank you so much for tuning in today.
Hi, my name is Lisa and I'm a bariatric patient. I had surgery about 4 years ago and I'm pleased to say that I've lost 170 pounds. The journey of bariatric surgery is not easy and we all go through struggles. And some of the struggles we're not aware of until we've had surgery. So as grateful as I am that I've lost 170 pounds, in the past couple of years I've actually gained back 40 pounds. I'm not so happy with that, but I know that this is just another step in my process and that I'm still ahead of the game. So with my struggles of trying to lose that weight again, I've also had other struggles that come with bariatric surgery in the sense of lack of energy, not being able to sleep through the night properly, not waking up feeling refreshed, losing hair, brittle nails, and overall lack of good nutrition. So we all know that we're not eating what we need to eat, and we're not eating the amounts we're able to eat after bariatric surgery. So I am so blessed to have been introduced to Juice Plus and the Shred 10 program, because this has boosted my nutrition and helped me start losing weight again. So since I've started my Shred 10, I'm down 12.5 pounds and I feel fantastic. I have my capsules and my shake every morning for breakfast. I've noticed my hair is thicker. I wake up after a good night's sleep, and I've got tons of energy to run around with my 2 grandchildren. This all wasn't happening for the past couple of years, and I just needed something that was going to help after trying everything else. And Juice Plus was my answer. So again, I am so blessed to have Juice Plus in my family and with my nutrition and helping me get through every day much better than I was before. I don't know what I would do without Juice Plus.
We would like to encourage you to get back with the person who invited you to view this webinar to learn more. Thank you again, Heather, and thank you all for joining us.